the moment that changed everything. They say that getting older means slowing down. And maybe that's true. Because after decades of chasing status, chasing validation in a mirror or on the barbell, something hits you. Not like a lightning bolt, more like a whisper that becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't working anymore. This video is not about how to look younger. It's about how to feel better, move smarter, live longer. It's about what really matters after 50, when the game changes, and you have to change with it. Let me be clear, I'm not a guru. I'm just a man who thought he was doing it right, until his body said otherwise. And today, I want to share with you the 8 moments that reshape not just the way I train, but the way I live. Because there's a before and after moment for every man who hits that wall, and decides not to break, but to rebuild. This is the story of that moment. Chapter 1, From Beast Mode to Broken Down. There's a dangerous myth that lingers in the minds of men as they approach their 50s, especially men who were once athletes, competitors, or simply raised on the old school grit philosophy: push harder, lift heavier, train longer, and you'll win. And for years, I lived by that code. It wasn't just a workout mentality. It was an identity. In my mind, fatigue meant progress. Soreness equaled success. And if you weren't gasping for air or drenched in sweat, you probably didn't train hard enough. 6 days a week, I was in the gym. No breaks. No excuses. I hit failure on every last set. Sometimes I even trained twice a day, weights in the morning, cardio at night. I was stacking volume on volume, chasing the kind of physique that graced men's fitness magazines or the covers of pre-social media bodybuilding VHS tapes. And yet, I looked the part. People noticed. I filled out shirts well, had visible veins, and strangers occasionally asked what supplements I was taking. On the outside, I was the model of midlife strength. But inside, I was breaking down. The weight no one sees. Let's pause for a second. It's easy to scroll through social media and admire 50-something-year-old men with shredded physiques and granite abs, but what you don't see are the joint injections, the nightly ibuprofen, the stiffness every morning that makes putting on socks feel like a yoga session. My shoulders were inflamed more often than not. My knees, a joint I rarely paid attention to in my 30s, began sending me sharp reminders with every squat. And my lower back? Well, it stopped being tight and started feeling fragile. This isn't unique to me. You think Jeff Bezos built Amazon on 4 sets of barbell squats? Or Warren Buffett got his returns by doing deadlifts to failure? Of course not. And yet, somehow, we treat our bodies like we're hedge funds that grow with unlimited effort. We invest and invest without ever pausing to ask, what's the long-term return on this grind? Spoiler, for me, the ROI was starting to look bleak. The invisible competition. Here's the wild part. I wasn't just competing with myself. I was silently trying to outperform every younger guy in the gym. If a 25-year-old was benching 225, I had to do 245. If someone curled 35s, I grabbed 40s even if my elbows begged me not to. That mindset? It's toxic. It's the quiet enemy of progress after 50. It's not rooted in discipline or excellence. It's rooted in insecurity, that sneaky, quiet belief that aging is something to hide, to fight, to deny. There's something primal in many men, especially achievers, that can't stand the idea of slowing down. We see it in CEOs who won't retire, politicians who run for office at 80, and actors in their 60s still doing their own stunts. There's a reason Tom Cruise insists on hanging off planes at 61. It's not just for the shot. It's to remind himself, and the world, I've still got it. I was no different, except my stunt was trying to out-deadlift college kids. Signs I ignored, but you shouldn't. The human body is incredible, until it's not. Around 50, your hormones change. Testosterone begins its steady decline. Recovery slows. Inflammation lingers. Muscle protein synthesis isn't as responsive as it used to be. Even your sleep, arguably the most anabolic tool you have, gets shallower and more fragmented. I knew all of this on paper. I'd read the research, but I didn't believe it applied to me. I was different, so I ignored the signs. The fatigue that didn't fade after 24 hours. The persistent elbow tendinitis. The headaches from overtraining. The restless sleep after high-volume leg days. Worse, I normalized it. That's just part of being hardcore, I told myself. No pain, no gain, right? What a lie. Because here's the truth, pain isn't a badge, it's a warning sign. When the beast becomes your enemy. Let's talk about ego. Ego builds empires. It drives innovation. It creates legends. But in the gym after 50, ego will wreck you. You'll start chasing reps that your joints can't handle. You'll lift weights you have no business touching. You'll skip deload weeks and mock the idea of recovery. And for what? You're not being paid to lift heavy. You're not auditioning for a superhero movie. You're not entering a pro bodybuilding show. You're a grown man who just wants to feel strong, healthy, energized, and capable. But your inner beast mode voice will convince you that backing off is weakness. It will say, if you reduce frequency, you'll shrink. If you lower the weight, you're regressing. If you train less, you're losing your edge. That voice lies. Beast mode is fine in your 20s. But after 50? It's betrayal disguised as discipline. The moment everything shifted. And then it happened. It wasn't a dramatic injury or a doctor's intervention. It was a regular Tuesday, midday gym session. I walked in, caffeine in my veins, playlist ready to pump me up for another brutal arm workout. And then I saw him. An older man, early 60s, I guessed. Lean. Calm. Moving with intention, not aggression. He wasn't jumping from machine to machine. No forced reps, no chains. No spotter. Just simple dumbbells, slow reps, deliberate tempo. And the thing is, he looked incredible. Healthy. Strong. Grounded. I watched him for a few minutes discreetly. Every set had purpose. Every rest had intention. And just 30 minutes later, he was gone. Done. No flexing in a mirror. No selfies. Just execution and exit. It felt like I had just witnessed a secret code being entered. and suddenly, my entire philosophy crumbled. The less is more paradox. That man became a symbol of what I had ignored for years, the power of simplicity. Here's what science and my body told me after that day. Volume is a tool, not a rule. Growth comes from stimulation, not annihilation. Recovery isn't optional, it's where the magic happens. Training less, with purpose, outperforms training more with chaos. I went home and started studying athletes who had reinvented themselves after 50. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, yes, he trains hard, but his entire regimen is built around recovery, periodization, and joint preservation. Tom Brady, perhaps the greatest example of minimalist training and maximal output. His method: mobility, resistance bands, precise nutrition, deep sleep, and almost no heavy lifting. David Sinclair, Harvard longevity expert, trains less than you'd think. Focuses on consistency, low-impact movement, and hormetic stress, not overkill. These men weren't surviving age. They were mastering it. And I realized, I could do that too. To be continued in the next message, continuation to reach 3,000 plus words. Here is the continuation and completion of Chapter 1, from beast mode to broken down and expanded, in-depth format designed to exceed 3,000 words, maintain strong engagement throughout, and be suitable for YouTube fair use content transformation. Continuation from previous part. What actually builds muscle after 50? Once I began peeling back the layers of bro science and old school dogma, I asked the crucial question: what does the science actually say about training for men in their 50s and beyond? The answer was refreshingly simple and radically different from what gym culture pushes. One stimulus: stress. You don't need to destroy your muscles to grow them. You just need to give them enough tension and time under load to trigger adaptation. Going to failure? Optional. Total volume? Less important than quality and consistency. Frequency matters, but not how you think. Training a muscle 2-3x a week works, but sessions must be manageable. That means lower volume per workout, allowing quicker recovery between sessions. You don't need a chest day where you hammer 20 sets. You need 6 to 8 quality sets, repeated 2-3x/week. 3. Recovery equals progress. Muscle doesn't grow in the gym, it grows in the 23 hours you're not training. Protein intake, deep sleep, walking, stress management, hydration, these aren't bonus tips, they are the foundation. 4. Inflammation is the enemy of longevity. Chronic joint pain, poor sleep, high cortisol from intense overtraining, these don't just hinder gains. They accelerate aging. So what does that mean for us guys over 50? We need to train smarter, not harder. We must become architects of resilience, not just warriors in a weight room. The 3-day training week that saved my body. I decided to test what I now call my longevity protocol. Just 3 gym sessions per week, each under 50 minutes. Walking every day. And a focus on deliberate execution over heroic effort. Here's what it looked like. Day 1. Push, chest, shoulders, triceps. Incline dumbbell press, 3 sets of 8 to 10. Machine shoulder press, 3 sets of 10. Cable triceps press down, 3 sets of 12 to 15. Day 2. Pull, back, biceps. O seated row, 3 sets of 8 to 10. O lat pull down, 3 sets of 10. O dumbbell bicep curl, 2 sets of 10 to 12. O face pulls, 3 sets of 15. Day 3, legs and core. O leg press, 3 sets of 10. O dumbbell RDLs, 3 sets of 10. O seated calf raise, 2 sets of 15. O cable wood choppers, 3 sets per side. No supersets. No burnout sets. No ego. I walk 20 to 30 minutes every morning. Ate high protein, anti-inflammatory meals. And, most importantly, I started sleeping again. Deep, restorative sleep. The kind of sleep I hadn't had in years. Within 30 days, my joint pain faded. My energy skyrocketed. My workouts became something I looked forward to again, not dreaded. The results were undeniable. The cost of staying in beast mode. Let's not sugarcoat it. Many men never pivot in time. They ignore the signs, thinking they are just not pushing hard enough. So they push harder. And here's what that leads to. Torn rotator cuffs. Ruptured biceps tendons. Lumbar disc degeneration. Insomnia from constant cortisol elevation. In some cases, heart problems from stimulant overuse and overexertion. You know who never worried about that? Bruce Lee. The man was obsessed with efficiency. He didn't train for volume, he trained for outcome. Every rep had purpose. Every movement had intention. His legacy wasn't built on brutality but precision. If it's good enough for Bruce, it's good enough for us. The real flex after 50, energy, not ego. Let's get brutally honest. At 25, your body can recover from stupidity. At 55, it demands wisdom. At 25, you train to look good. At 55, you train to feel unstoppable, to lift groceries with ease, play with grandkids, hike without joint pain, sleep deeply, and show up strong in every part of life. You train so your mind stays sharp, your heart stays healthy, and your spirit stays young. I don't care how much you bench. Can you chase your grandchild up a hill without gassing out? Can you sleep 7 hours without waking from hip pain? Can you stand tall, breathe easy, and carry yourself like a man who's earned every wrinkle? That's the new flex. Why simple isn't easy, but it works. People resist simplicity because they confuse it with laziness. But here's the truth, simplicity requires humility. It takes discipline to walk away after 45 minutes when you feel like doing more. Stick to foundational movements when Instagram shows flashier options. Skip your 4th gym session so your joints recover. Sleep instead of scrolling. Choose eggs and berries over pre-workout and Pop-Tarts. It's easy to do too much. It's harder to do just enough. But just enough, done consistently, is the key. Closing this chapter, without closing your potential. This journey from beast mode to broken down to reborn has been the most liberating fitness transformation of my life. And ironically, I'm seeing better results now at 53 than I did at 38. Less pain. More strength. Higher energy. Better sleep. Sustainable routines. And yes, still building muscle. Why? Because I stopped chasing volume and started honoring value. If you're watching this and your body's been whispering, "We can't keep doing this," listen. If you've been frustrated by injuries, plateaus, or lack of motivation, it's not weakness. It's wisdom trying to speak. You don't have to train harder. You just have to train smarter. And in the next chapters, I'll show you how. Chapter 2, The Man Who Didn't Know He Was My Mentor. Sometimes in life, your greatest teacher doesn't speak. He doesn't stand in front of a whiteboard, hand you a book, or shout motivational quotes across a gym floor. Sometimes, your mentor just exists quietly, confidently, and unknowingly modeling the exact truth you've been blind to. That's what happened to me. I was in the middle of what I used to call a serious workout. Pre-workout still buzzing. Headphones in. Playlist at full volume. Arms day. The plan was 15 plus sets, multiple supersets, burnout finishers, and a post-lift HIIT session. I wasn't working out, I was waging war. And then, I saw him. The man who trained in silence. He must have been in his early 60s. Trim. Relaxed. Clean cut. You know, the kind of man who doesn't try to look strong, he just is. He walked into the gym with a calm, almost meditative energy. No swagger. No gym bag the size of a suitcase. No shaker bottle. Just a towel and a small bottle of water. He walked straight to the dumbbells and picked up a modest pair lighter than I expected. And then something unusual happened. He didn't rush. He didn't bounce. He didn't cheat the rep or explode with force. He moved with intention. Every rep was controlled. Every contraction had meaning. He rested for a full minute. Then went again. And again. No theatrics. No flexing. Just work. To the average gym goer, he probably looked like just some older guy doing curls. But I saw something different. He had mastery. When mastery trumps intensity, there's a profound difference between someone who works hard and someone who works smart. That man was the latter. While I jumped from exercise to exercise trying to squeeze blood into my biceps like a madman, he was simply focused, present, precise. You know what it reminded me of? Roger Federer. Yes, the tennis legend. At the peak of his career, Federer wasn't the strongest or fastest. He didn't roar with intensity or punch the air after every point like younger players. But every movement? Elegant. Purposeful. Measured. He knew something others didn't: energy is precious. Don't waste it. That's what I saw in that man's workout. Economy of motion. Maximum return. And yet he didn't look average. His arms were lean, vascular, and muscular. His posture was upright. His expression peaceful. He wasn't training to impress. He was training for longevity, for strength, for life. 30 minutes that changed everything. I couldn't stop watching. Not out of judgment but fascination. After 3 exercises each performed methodically, with maybe 3 sets apiece, he wiped down his bench, nodded politely at the front desk, and walked out. Total time? 30 minutes. Meanwhile, I was only halfway through my plan and already starting to feel joint stiffness coming on. And that's when the thought hit me. He knows something you don't. It was like watching a Zen master sharpen a blade while I was swinging an axe wildly at a tree. I didn't need more effort. I needed more wisdom. Learning without words. The truth is, I never spoke to him. Not once. Not because I was intimidated, but because I didn't want to interrupt what felt sacred. His discipline, his quiet focus, his clarity. I wasn't going to barge in with questions and disturb the atmosphere. But I studied him over the next few weeks. I noticed. He always trained the same time, early, consistent. He never lingered or scrolled on his phone. He used mostly machines and free weights, no trendy gear. He smiled occasionally but never chatted during sets. He looked the same every week, strong, stable, centered. And little by little, I started borrowing his habits. Shorter workouts. Longer rest between sets. Cleaner form. Less internal chaos. And everything started to change. Why older men are often the strongest in secret. We live in a culture obsessed with the young. TikTok transformations. 22-year-olds with 8-pack ABS YouTubers squatting 500 pounds for clout. But what they don't have yet is wisdom. You see, strength isn't just physical. It's the strength to ignore trends. To train with humility. To prioritize form over ego. To understand that long-term consistency beats short-term intensity. To walk away from the gym feeling energized instead of wrecked. That man had what modern fitness doesn't teach, peace with progress. And I realized many of the strongest men I've known, mentors, military veterans, high-level coaches, don't make noise. They lead with presence. Their strength is quiet, but unmistakable. A small story, a big shift. Let me tell you about Charles, a 61-year-old client of mine from Chicago. When he first came to me, he was burned out. Had tried CrossFit, online fitness challenges, even hired a 26-year-old trainer who pushed him to squat more than his body could tolerate. Charles was constantly sore, frustrated, thinking about quitting. Then I gave him one rule. Never leave the gym feeling worse than when you walked in. We created a 3-day routine. Each session under 40 minutes. Tempo training. Machine work. Controlled dumbbell movements. Emphasis on posture, breath, joint control. 3 months later, his strength was up, pain was down, and more importantly, he enjoyed training again. He told me, "I stopped trying to compete. Now I'm building something." That man in the gym, the one who unknowingly mentored me, gave me the same lesson. We've been lied to, the fallacy of long workouts. Let me get controversial for a second. You don't need to train an hour a day. The 60-minute workout rule? It's outdated. Rooted in 1980s bodybuilding dogma. It's arbitrary. It ignores age, recovery, nervous system fatigue, and inflammation load. In fact, studies now show that quality over volume produces better long-term results for men over 50. Research from McMaster University shows that intensity and intent matter more than duration, especially when testosterone and recovery speed start to decline with age. And yet, people still measure effort in minutes. Don't measure it in precision, focus, recovery readiness, joint integrity, sleep quality. That man who trained 30 minutes, he wasn't undertraining. He was optimizing. What he taught me without a single word. When I think back now, here's what I learned from that quiet mentor. 1. Presence is power. Don't train distracted. Be where your feet are. Focus. 2. Consistency complexity. You don't need 12 different exercises. You need 3 done right. 3. Efficiency is everything. You can get more out of 30 minutes than most get in 90. 4. Ego is expensive. Injuries aren't proof of commitment. They are proof of misaligned priorities. 5. Longevity is the goal. Anyone can train hard for a year. Can you still be lifting at 75? You never know who's watching you. Maybe one day I'll thank that man in person. But in a way, I already have by passing on what he taught me to thousands of others. Because truthfully, you may already be that person for someone else. The way you show up, the way you train with dignity, the way you stay healthy when others burn out. Someone is watching, and they are learning. So make sure what they are learning is worth modeling. Chapter 3, Rebuilding from Simplicity, a Doctor's Viewpoint. The more years I spend studying the human body, the more I realize this truth. We are not built to be punished. We are built to be preserved. In my years of medical research and coaching men over 50, I've come to believe that one of the biggest mistakes we make isn't eating too many carbs, skipping the occasional workout, or even carrying a bit of extra weight. It's this: we confuse punishment with progress. We think that soreness means we've succeeded. That longer workouts equal deeper dedication. That pain is proof of effort. But science and experience tell us a very different story. The biology of aging muscle. Let's start with the facts. After age 30, we begin losing muscle mass at an average rate of 3 to 8% per decade. That process is called sarcopenia, and it accelerates after 50. Combine that with hormonal shifts, declining testosterone, reduced growth hormone, increased inflammation, and you've got a perfect storm for slower recovery, weaker joints, and stubborn fat gain. But here's the kicker. The body still wants to grow. It still responds to stimulus. It still adapts. It still regenerates. But the rules of the game change. And most men, they never adjust their strategy. They are playing full court press basketball with 25-year-old rules, in a 55-year-old body. No wonder injuries stack up. No wonder motivation dips. No wonder they quit altogether. Why simplicity is science-backed? Let's bust a myth. Simplifying your training means lowering your standards. False. In fact, research from the American Journal of Physiology found that moderate load resistance training, even with fewer sets, can lead to equivalent or superior gains in older adults compared to high volume routines. Why? Because older muscles respond better to consistency than overload, need more recovery time, are more sensitive to inflammatory damage, benefit more from quality contraction than quantity of reps. In short, training smarter is not just preferable. It's biological necessity. Building a system that works for your age, not against it. Let's talk strategy. When I coach men in their 50s, I never start with how much do you bench. I start with how's your sleep? What's your recovery window? How much stress is in your life right now? Do you have consistent mobility issues? How well do you move, not just how much do you lift? Because if your body isn't recovering, you're not building anything. It's like trying to construct a house on sand. No matter how good the blueprint is, if the foundation's weak, everything collapses. The 5 rules of simplified training after 50. Based on both research and clinical experience, here are 5 foundational principles I use with clients and patients alike. 1. Focus on frequency, not duration. You don't need to train for 90 minutes. You need to train consistently. Electric light bulb optimal split. 3 days/week strength, 45 minutes or less. 2 to 3 days/week movement, walking, yoga, swimming. Short, repeatable, and sustainable beats epic but inconsistent. 2. Prioritize movement quality. At this age, form is your currency. Perfect your squat pattern, hinge pattern, RDL, deadlift, push/pull, horizontal and vertical. Core stability. Use tempo control. Pause reps mind-muscle connection. Think Bruce Lee, not Hulk smash. 3. Optimize recovery like it's a full-time job. Recovery isn't passive, it's active healing. Top recovery tools. 7 to 8 HRS sleep, non-negotiable. Protein intake, 1.6-2.2 g/kg/day. Omega-3s and magnesium. Sauna, stretching, light walking. Stress reduction, breath work, meditation, even gratitude journaling. Remember, you're not slacking off on rest days. You're growing. 4. Simplify nutrition without obsessing. Forget counting every calorie or chasing diet fads. Here's a simple framework. Protein at every meal, eggs, chicken, fish, whey. 3 to 4 cups of veggies/day. Smart carbs, berries, sweet potatoes, oats. Healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts. Hydration, 2 to 3 liters/day. And yes, you can still enjoy a glass of wine or pizza night. Sustainability perfection. 5. Train for longevity, not just muscles. The best gains after 50? Strong grip strength, pain-free mobility, stable blood sugar, healthy cardiovascular function, energy throughout the day, confidence without bravado. Muscles are great, but movement is freedom. Example from real life, Dr. Peter Attia's protocol. Dr. Peter Attia, one of the world's foremost experts in longevity medicine, calls this training for the centenarian Olympics. His goal? Be able to do the following at 100 years old. Get off the floor without using hands. Lift a suitcase into an overhead bin. Carry groceries up the stairs. Hike for 30 minutes without rest. Balance on one foot for 10 seconds. And his training? Simple. Strength, mobility. Zone 2 cardio. Recovery. Not flashy, but foundational. That's the future of fitness. Not beast mode. Not TikTok challenges. Vitality. Capability. Grace. Why most men miss this shift and stay stuck? Because complexity sells. 30-day shredded challenge. Drop 20 pounds in 10 days. Train like a Navy SEAL. These headlines prey on ego, not evidence. The result? Broken joints. Burned out nervous systems. Unstable motivation. Long-term inconsistency. What we need is a mindset reset. From punishment to partnership with our bodies. Rebuilding meant reinventing myself. Once I embraced simplicity, here's what changed. I trained 3x week and looked better than when I trained 6. My sleep improved without sleep meds. My digestion normalized. My energy came back. My confidence stopped being performative and became peaceful. I wasn't at war with my body anymore. I was building with it. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. If your current routine leaves you tired, sore, discouraged, or stressed, change it. You don't need permission. You need a new blueprint. Start simple. Start smart. Start now. Chapter 4, My New Routine, and Why It Works. If there's one truth I've learned in my 50s, it's this. Complex routines break. Simple systems scale. After decades of trying nearly every fitness approach, from body part splits to high-volume training, from CrossFit WODs to bodybuilding preps, my body finally demanded a divorce from intensity. What it needed was clarity, consistency, and compassion. So I stripped it all back, got rid of the noise, and built a new structure, one that works with my physiology, not against it. Daily morning walks, the power of consistent clarity. Every day, before emails, before texts, before caffeine even hits my bloodstream, I walk. 20 to 30 minutes. Not to burn fat. Not to rack up steps. But to clear my head and signal my body that life is under control. From a physiological standpoint, this simple act does more than most people realize. Lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. Improves insulin sensitivity. Boosts endorphins. Mobilizes stiff joints. Kickstarts digestion. You don't need a treadmill. You don't need a heart rate monitor. You just need your shoes and a willingness to disconnect. It's the same reason Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, starts his day walking. Not for weight loss, but to think better. Walking creates mental white space. In a world of notifications and pressure, it's how you reclaim control. I used to think I needed a hardcore HIIT session to start my day. Now I know better. 3 strength sessions per week, intention over intensity. I lift 3 days a week. That's it. And in those sessions, I'm not chasing records. I'm chasing presence. Each workout is about 45 minutes, centered on compound movements, done at controlled tempo, with full body tension and total focus. Why? Because the science is clear. For men over 50, volume isn't king, quality is. The old paradigm says, more sets equals more muscle. The new reality? More precision equals less injury, better results. A sample week looks like this. Day 1, push, chest/shoulders/triceps. Incline dumbbell press, 3x8. Machined shoulder press, 3x10. Rope tricep extensions, 3x15. Day 2, pull, back/biceps/rear delts. Seated cable row, 3x10. Lat pull down, 3x10. Hammer curls, 2x12. Face pulls, 3x20. Day 3, legs and core. Goblet squat or leg press, 3x10. Dumbbell RDLs, 3x10. Seated calf raise, 2x15. Hanging leg raises, 3x12. That's it. No supersets. No drop sets. No destruction. Just work with intent. Think LeBron James here. The man spends $1.50 million/year on his body, and much of that isn't on crazy training, it's on quality, restoration, and precision. At 39, he's still dominating the NBA. Why? Because he knows training smart beats training hard, especially after 35. Zero ego, the freedom of not proving anything. There's a hidden tax to ego-driven training: injuries, burnout, and missed progress. In my 40s, I was still lifting like I was on stage, chasing personal records, forced reps, failure sets, trying to prove to myself and others that I still had it. And yes, I got stronger, but I also got more joint pain, more sleepless nights, more inflammation, less energy for life outside the gym. So I let go of the alpha male in the weight room persona. No more PRS. No more comparisons. No more pressure. Instead, I train to feel mobile, stable, pain-free, energetic, capable. This is the new flex. Ask yourself, would you rather bench 315 with a torn rotator cuff or do 185 pain-free for the next 20 years? Barack Obama, even during his presidency, worked out 6 times a week but never for more than 45 minutes. Why? Because health was a non-negotiable, but his goal wasn't aesthetics, it was stamina, clarity, and longevity. Nutrition, whole food, not food rules. Here's what I stopped doing: counting every macro, weighing every gram of rice, trying fad diets. And here's what I started doing: eating protein at every meal, prioritizing vegetables, choosing quality over complexity, following the 90-10 rule: 90% clean, 10% human. A typical day might look like this: breakfast, 3 eggs and sautéed spinach and avocado. Lunch, grilled chicken, quinoa, roasted veggies. Snack, Greek yogurt and berries and walnuts. Dinner, baked salmon, sweet potatoes, broccoli. Treat, if I wanted a glass of red wine or 1-2 squares dark chocolate. I don't track it. I listen. Because I've learned, your body is always talking, you just have to quiet the noise to hear it. Even Tom Brady, who's infamous for his strict diet, doesn't count macros. He focuses on anti-inflammatory, performance-oriented eating with seasonal variation and gut health in mind. Recovery, the missing muscle builder. Recovery is not the bonus round of fitness. It is the foundation. You can train hard. You can eat well. But if your body isn't recovering, you're regressing. That's why I made recovery part of the plan, not a footnote. Here's what that looks like. Sleep, 7 to 8 hours minimum. I use magnesium glycinate and blue light blockers. Rest days, no guilt. Movement, yes, but no overload. Walking, again, to deload the system. Sauna, 2x/week, if possible, to reduce inflammation and boost growth hormone. Breath work, 5 minutes before bed, to down-regulate the nervous system. This is where real transformation happens. Do you know who else swears by it? Jeff Bezos. In one interview, he said, "I prioritize 8 hours of sleep above all else. It's the highest ROI decision I make." This isn't softness, it's science. Why this routine actually works? Because it's repeatable, sustainable, personalized, adaptive, built for performance and peace. You're not forcing anything. You're flowing with your biology, your lifestyle, and your priorities. It works because it honors who you are, not who you were. It allows you to be strong, not sore. Consistent, not chaotic. Focused, not frantic. Resilient, not reckless. This is how men in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, not only maintain strength but increase it. Not with punishment, but with precision. So here we are, 4 chapters in. And maybe, just maybe, something's starting to click for you. Maybe you're starting to feel a shift. Not just in your thinking, but in how you see yourself, your past efforts, your future potential, and the truth that fitness after 50 doesn't have to feel like punishment. Let's take a breath and recap. Chapter 1 showed you the truth no one talks about. That beast mode doesn't age well. We push. We grind. We try to outlive Father Time. But in the process, we trade strength for soreness. And pride for pain. I lived that path. And it broke me. Then came chapter 2, and him. The quiet man in the gym. No ego. No chaos. Just calm, focused, sustainable movement. He didn't speak a single word to me. But his presence, it said everything. He trained with purpose. He left with peace. And in that moment, I realized, maybe I was doing it all wrong. Chapter 3 was where the shift began. From burnout to clarity. From inflammation to intention. From how much can I lift, to how long can I live, and move, without pain. That's where I introduced the science. The data. The real reasons why less can truly be more, if done with precision. Because biology after 50 is different. Hormones change. Recovery slows. But adaptation, that's still available to you, if you're willing to adapt the way you train. And then, in chapter 4, I laid it out. My new rhythm. My new routine. Simple. Clear. No fluff. Walks for clarity. Strength sessions 3 times a week. Whole foods, good sleep, real recovery. Not punishment, but partnership with my body. No more chasing PRS. No more proving anything. Just showing up, with presence and purpose. Maybe that sounds too easy. But here's the truth. Simplicity is not weakness. It's wisdom earned through pain. And now, what's next? You might be thinking, okay, I get it. Go slower. Train smarter. Be consistent. That's cool. But here's the thing. Knowing what to do and actually doing it, those are two different worlds. That's why in video 2, we take things deeper. Because transformation doesn't happen in theory. It happens in practice. In the next part, you'll meet real people, just like you, who made the shift. Like Greg, 58, who tried to outwork aging with his son's brutal CrossFit routine. 2 months later, he was injured, exhausted, and going nowhere. Until he changed course. And what happened next? You'll want to hear it, because it might be the story you're living right now. We'll also explore why so many men quit after 50, and how to make sure you're not one of them. The quiet lesson that nameless man taught me, and how it rewired my entire philosophy. And most importantly, how to start your own transformation, no matter your age, pain history, or where you're starting from. Because here's the truth. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not too busy. What you are, is one decision away from the path you actually want. A body that feels strong again. A mind that's clear. A spirit that's calm. And that path? It continues in part 2. So don't stop here. Don't close the tab. Don't say, I'll watch it later. Because later becomes never. Click through to part 2. Not just to finish this video, but to finish what you started. This isn't about fitness anymore. It's about freedom. And freedom? That's what the next 4 chapters are all about.